Trixie goes for the Diamond Storm, doesn't get the KO, but gets the defense boost. So even after toxic damage, can Lai Noon take out the DNC? Hi friends, my name is Frankie, and welcome back to Gotta Drag 'Em All, the internet's #1 crossover series that pits the bottom queens of an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race head-to-head in a 6v6 Pokemon battle to see who sashays and who shantes. Now, I think by now it goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it again anyway. If you are seeing me for the first time and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I'm gonna want you to click out of here and go watch episodes 1 through 3. And I'm just gonna sit here in silence until you do that. Okay, now that they're gone, you and I can really get started here with episode 4. As a quick little recap, episode 3 ended with Jasmine Masters winning her battle, which means, sadly, we had to say sashay away to Kennedy Davenport. Now, Kennedy originally makes it to the top 4 of the original season, so we are really switching things up now. But we'll figure it all out together as we dive right into episode 4, Spoof, There It Is. Now, for this episode, Ru split up the remaining 11 girls into 3 groups for the main challenge, which was to parody one of 3 RuPaul songs. The first group was Katya, Trixie, Miss Fame, and Pearl, and for the second group was Violet, Max, and Jaden. And since each queen in these 2 groups are still in my series, I'm just going to keep their groups as is. The third group, however, was originally Kennedy, Ginger, Mrs. Kasha Davis, and Candy. And of course, both Kennedy and Candy are both gone in our series. So here, I'll just slot in Jasmine in place of Kennedy, and Tempest in place of Candy, since those were the 2 queens that won their battles. So the question now is, do we think either Jasmine or Tempest would do bad enough in this challenge to be put in the bottom? And to be honest, even with a slightly different group of queens in Ginger's team, I still think Trixie's I Want a Tan group will roast and toast and crash and burn. So with that, I'm gonna stick with the original bottom 2 queens of the episode, Trixie Mattel and Pearl. So let's start by taking a look at Trixie's runways that she presented on the main stage throughout the season. Starting off, we have her entrance look, spring, fall, nude, and jet set looks. Then we have her bearded and beautiful look, green runway, conjoined twins, ugliest dress, and half man, half woman look. And in the middle, we have Miss Tracy in all of her terrifying pink finale gown glory. With regards to her team, we start off with none other than Sylveon, which is based sort of on the whites and pinks of her entrance look and the bow in her hair of her spring runway. Sylveon plays the role of a super strong special attacker on Trixie's team, who has really strong special bulk as well. Coupled with the ability Pixelate and Choice Specs, Sylveon will be pumping out massive fairy-type damage with Hyper Voices. Next, we have Diancie, because the sort of geometric shape of Trixie's Jet Set Eleganza look goes well with Diancie's bottom half, and obviously Diancie is also pink. Diancie has some incredible stats overall, so it can fill a lot of different roles. On Trixie's team, Diancie will be more of a bulky special attacker, who she'll want to switch in on incoming physical attacks so that the opponent takes damage from that rocky helmet. Next, we have Rabombi, who I chose based on Trixie's bearded runway. The feathers and wings and just general color palette I thought were a good match overall. In terms of stats, Rabombi is primarily one thing: fast, but it's also pretty frail. In an ideal world, Rabombi would come in, set up a quiver dance, and then try to sweep through the enemy team by outspeeding everything. A citrus berry here helps to add just a little bit more survivability on an otherwise frail Pokemon. Next, we have Flygon, who I chose based on Trixie's green runway. Not only because they're both green, but the chopsticks in Trixie's hair were basically replicated by Flygon's antenna, which that may be a little bit of a stretch, but it makes sense in my head. Flygon is a fairly fast physical attacker with a really good balance of other stats as well. Coupled with a choice band, it'll be able to dish out some big physical damage. Next up, we have Gastrodon. Partially because, hello, it's pink, but also partially because of Trixie's half-man, half-woman look, where she's wearing brown hair like how Gastrodon is brown on top. Gastron's stats overall aren't anything major to write home about, but it will serve as more of like a physically defensive Pokemon on Trixie's team. She'll want to switch it in on incoming water type attacks due to Storm Drain, and with leftovers healing each turn as well, Gastrodon will be decently tanky. And lastly, we have Bruxish, with the big pink lips and blue eye makeup, definitely reminiscent of Trixie's finale look. Bruxish is sort of a glass cannon where it'll want to get in, do some speedy physical attacks, and then get out because its defenses are pretty low overall. However, its ability Strong Jaw means its attacks like Crunch will do big damage, and an Assault Vest helps to add a little bit of survivability on top of that. And so, there you have Trixie's team. Overall, Miss Tracy's team has a good mix of both physical attackers like Flygon and Bruxish, and special attackers like Sylveon and Ribombee. Diancie is just a powerhouse as well that can take physical attacks and retaliate with either special or physical moves with its super high base stats. Rounding out the team, we have Gastrodon, who is more physically defensive as well. Now, moving on to Pearl, who was our first top 3 finalist from the original season, so we have a boatload of runway looks to pull from. Starting off, we have her entrance, spring, fall, nude, jet set, bearded, and green looks. Following that, we have her Despy, Death Becomes Her, Leather and Lace, Ugliest Dress, Half Man, Half Woman, Hello Kitty, and Best Drag looks there, with Pearl's finale look right there, center stage. To start us off, just based off of the number of different beige or like tan colored looks that Pearl presented on the show, I went with Linoon. Linoon is pretty fast, but its stats are otherwise pretty mid. Linoons will typically aim for using Belly Drum, which will halve its HP, but maximize its attack stat. Then its ability Gluttony means that it can consume a berry that heals more, and it'll try to sweep through an opponent's team with stab extreme speeds once it's set up. Next, we have Houndoom, who is based off of Pearl's bearded runway. Houndoom is primarily a special attacker with pretty measly defense stats. Its ability Flash Fire means that it can switch into any fire type attack, and it's holding a citrus berry for a little bit extra staying power. Next, I chose Seviper, who was inspired from Pearl's green runway. Seviper doesn't have the best stats, but can still pack a decent punch. Coupled with the Choice Scarf means it'll be able to outspeed a lot of its opponents and get that first hit in. Next, I chose Florges, and this one's gonna be a little bit of a stretch, but stay with me. So Florges' pre-evolution form is called Flabebe, and I thought that name was pretty close to Pearl's iconic Flaze Da quote. Florges is mainly a specially defensive Pokemon with a good special attack stat as well. A Rocky Helmet on Florges means any incoming physical attacks will help to chip away at its opponent. Next up, we have Primarina, because of the pearls in her hair. Primarina's main goal is to hit super hard with special attacks, especially with its high special attack stat, coupled with a choice specs. Lastly, I chose Cloyster, because more pearls, again! Cloyster is a big threat who will be Pearl's main physical damage sponge. If it can get set up with a Shell Smash, its ability Skill Link means it'll be doing incredible damage with multi-hit moves like Icicle Spear, especially as it gets powered up by that Life Orb. In terms of how Pearl's team overall is built, she has some really scary Pokemon who have the ability to just really win the game for her if set up properly in Cloyster or Linoon. Meanwhile, Primarina and Houndoom are both specially offensive Pokemon with really great type coverage. Seviper is fast and can dish out some major physical damage, while Florges is more of a support Pokemon for Pearl. So with that, bring back my girls. Mamoru, you're up.
Pearl. I'm sorry, my dear, but you're up for elimination. Trixie, my dear, I'm sorry, but you are up for elimination. 2 queens stand before me. Ladies, this is your last chance to impress me and save yourself. from elimination. The time has come. For you to live
Pokemon Battle.
for your life. Good luck, and don't.
Pearl will lead with Survivor. Meanwhile, Trixie will lead with Rabombi. Ooh, Trixie misplays here and stays in on Survivor, who gets that one shot with a super effective poison jab. Trixie will bring in Flagon to try to retaliate, but Pearl will swap in Cloyster to try to take that physical attack. Oof, but that Earthquake does over half of its health, there's no way that Cloyster will survive another one. And down goes Cloyster. Pearl sends in Florges now. But Trixie swaps Gastrodon in, who gets hit with that Moonblast. Pearl lands the Toxic on Gastrodon, which is massive. Oh, and Trixie misses her Toxic on Florges. This is not good, as now Pearl can go for the Protect, so that toxic damage continues to ramp up on Trixie's Gastrodon. Florges goes for another Moonblast, taking Gastrodon down to 31%, as Trixie finally lands that Toxic on Florges, but is it too little, too late? Gastrodon's down to 19%, and will go down after another Moonblast connects from Pearl's Florges. Trixie brings in Diancie here, and Florges goes with another Toxic. Diancie's Diamond Storm does some huge damage to Florges. It'll also take some toxic damage as well. Pearl goes for the Synthesis to try to restore some health, but after that Diamond Storm and toxic damage, Florges will actually go down, so potentially a misplay there from Pearl. Pearl brings in Primarina, but Trixie does not want to lose Diancie just yet, so brings in Bruxish to take that Water-type attack. Pearl swaps into Viper, expecting a Water attack, but Trixie goes for the Psychic Fangs and is able to one-shot Viper. Pearl brings in Houndoom, who is able to hang on and trigger that Citrus Berry to restore some health after that Aqua Jet from Bruxish, and is able to take Bruxish out with a Dark Pulse. Trixie brings in Flygon at this point, and there's no way Houndoom can survive that, as it goes down to an Earthquake. Pearl's down to last two Pokemon now, and in comes Primarina, who is able to survive an Earthquake from Flygon, and goes for the Moonblast, which connects and takes it out with one shot. Trixie brings in Sylveon at this point, and goes for a Choice Specs Hyper Voice. So, Trixie's locked into Hyper Voice and cannot change her moves at this point. What does Pearl decide to do? But it's Throat Chop! This is crazy, this is massive! Sylveon cannot use Hyper Voice after being Throat Chopped, giving Pearl the opportunity to Belly Drum, which maximizes its attack speed. This is not good. Sylveon's struggle actually triggers the Agua Fairy on Linoon, and Linoon can now just go for extreme speeds to hopefully sweep the game for Pearl. Did Trixie just throw it away? In comes Diancie, which is Trixie's last Pokemon, taking 41% from that extreme speed. Trixie goes for the Diamond Storm, doesn't get the KO, but gets the defense boost! So even after toxic damage, can Linoon take out the Diancie? No! And Linoon will actually go down to that Rocky Helmet damage, and Trixie wins the battle.
Trixie Mattel, Shantae, you stay. Pearl, sashay away.
Y'all, my jaw is literally on the ground. Can you see? That was such an incredible ending to that battle. That Throat Chop from Linoon was big brain. Massive. Incredible. I cannot believe Pearl thought of that because it blocked Sylveon from using Hyper Voice, so it nearly helped Pearl win the game by setting up Belly Drum and going for those extreme speeds. Honestly, if Diancie didn't get that defense boost, I think Pearl might have stolen that game away at the very end there. I cannot believe we had another week, another absolute freaking nail biter of an episode. But really, that's enough about what I think. Tell me down below what you thought. Who was your MVP of the battle? I think for me it had to have been Diancie, right? Like, knocking out Florges while being poisoned, getting that defense boost, knocking out Linoon. It was all so crazy. But as always, if you like what I'm putting down, then make sure you comment down below your favorite part of the battle, or what was surprising, or just tell me that you love me. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you love everything you're seeing so far. I'm so happy to be doing this, and I'm really thankful that everyone's watching these videos. So I'll be back in 2 weeks for episode 5, which is the Despy Award, so don't miss out. Be here or be square. Bye!